Senator Bill Cassidy joins me. Senator Cassidy, how you doing?
Hey, Moon Griffon, I am good, man. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, doing great. All right, first of all, and I've got a lot of topics to cover with you real quick. Flood insurance renewal. What's happening with that? Is it a long-term solution or just a short-term deal?
We'll see. We had a short term to keep it from lapsing. Some of my colleagues are so frustrated with the lack of reform, they were going to let it lapse just to make a point. I'm like, don't take it out on the guy who's got to have flood insurance to close on his house. That's unfair to him. They bought it, but they're into reform. I'm into reform. So we've got a bill that we're working on, make it more affordable, more accountable to the taxpayer, more sustainable. We're trying to get there. We'll know in the next 4 months. We're renewed right now through hurricane season, peak flood season, and we're going to try and bring it home with a longer-term reform effort.
Well, just curious your thoughts on it. The federal government's pretty much taken over flood insurance. If I'm wrong, correct me on that. But is that the best option for us that the federal government now controls that? I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on it, or is the private sector just can't afford to pay for it anymore? How does that work?
That's where the bugaboo is. Republicans and a couple Democrats want more privatization. There are studies that show that about 60% of policyholders would pay less if we had at least limited privatization. Most Democrats don't want privatization. And so in the bill I have with a Democrat person, Jill Brand, we're able to bring it to her. She bought into it. She sees it can be good for all. But that is one of the sticking points. And right now we're trying to get to where we have some privatization, but Democrats are okay with it. We need their votes to get it passed, and so we've got to work with them.
Okay. Yeah, because I keep thinking the private sector could do a lot better job because normally they do. And I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on that because I know there's some people trying to keep this in the private sector. I know some people, the problem I guess we have, if you were told you were not in the flood zone, this happened a lot in Louisiana, as you know. So you didn't buy flood insurance and then you got flooded. Well, you kind of got screwed. Now, I know the federal government came up with a program, and I know through the governor's office, they came up with a program to try to help people. But I guess that's the big fear. If you don't have it, you get hit, then you're looking for help.
Yeah, totally. And obviously we want people buying flood insurance. But I personally think, as you do, if you get the private sector in there, a little bit of competition makes everybody better.
Well, the thing about it is, my opinion is if you live in Louisiana, you ought to buy flood insurance. Just my opinion. It's not that if you live in what's considered not a flood zone, insurance is really cheap. I mean, I'm not saying it's not your money. I understand that, but it's really cheap.
And what happened for some people in the great floods of 2016 is that they had paid off their mortgage, so they stopped paying for flood insurance, feeling why I don't need to have it anymore. No, you're not buying it for the mortgage. You're buying it for your house.
Well, if you are financially wealthy enough to know that if something happens to my house, I can rebuild it or rebuild part of it, I got the cash. I understand that. That's probably not the norm, though.
Totally. And one thing we had to convince my colleagues of who wanted to let it lapse, this is not a rich man's insurance policy. You cap out at $250,000. This is a middle-class, working families policy that helps most Americans, but really it's only a fraction of what the fellow with the big home has. So if you've got a house, unless you're 28 feet above sea level, you should have flood insurance.
Senator Bill Cassidy, my special guest. All right. I did talk to your Senate sidekick, Kennedy, a week or two ago. Matt Kavanaugh looks like a sure pick, a good pick for Supreme Court. I know you met with him. What do you think?
He's fantastic. He said he went to a high school. The motto of the high school was meant for others. He's lived his life meant for others. Drive the left crazy. Although I will say, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the liberal Supreme Court justice, basically says to the left, vote for him. He's qualified. He's a good jurist. We need him on the bench. Overlook partisan differences. He's that good. I'm hoping they listen to her.
Well, my question is, why wouldn't they have the votes? There's got to be 3 or 4 or 5 Democrats that's going to vote for him, even if you have a Republican that bails out. I know McCain is sick and he may not get the vote, so you basically got 50 votes. 50-50 still would win because you got the vice president would vote. But a question to you: is there any Republicans saying they're not going to vote for him?
Well, Murkowski and Collins are the ones that people speak of, but both voted for him before for the D.C. Circuit Court. So they have previously voted for him. Now, the Democrats, McConnell's going to have the vote before the midterms. There are states out there where Donald Trump is incredibly popular, in which a Democratic senator is running for re-election.
Mm-hmm.
And that senator will have to choose between voting the party line with Chuck Schumer from New York or voting for the people of their state who like Trump and like his appointment in Brett Kavanaugh. So we're going to have that election, that vote, before November the 6th, ideally in October, but if not, it'll be November the 5th.
Well, they said that if you look at it, what has been said, I don't know if it was McConnell, but they're going to start the hearings and stuff around the 1st of September. I mean, that normally lasts a week. And if that's the case, why not take the vote immediately? I'm just asking, why not? Don't let it go any further. Have the hearings. Boom, let's have the vote.
I think the hearings will go a little bit longer. I think I'm told that Brett Kavanaugh, he loves to write. He's got a million pages of documents.
Yeah, but hold up, though, Senator. You know as well as me, it don't matter if he had one paper or a million. They were voting against him because Trump nominated him. It didn't matter. They could have nominated you, me, Brandon, anybody Trump would have nominated, with the exception of maybe Pelosi and Obama. They didn't care. It doesn't matter how much he's written. They're going to bomb him anyway.
I get that. In fact, McConnell makes the point. You want all these documents, and all these people that want these documents have already announced they're voting against them.
That's what I'm saying. My question is, go to McConnell and say, look, have the hearings. If it lasts a week, 10 days, whatever, vote the next day. I mean, I really would. I would boom, boom, because they're not going to be fair. The press is not going to be fair. But once, why don't we just step up and say, fine, y'all want to play hardball? We're going to have the hearings just like you want the day after we're voting for him and get it over with, be done with it.
I actually think it helps us to bring it closer to the election. For all these Democrats who swear they support Donald Trump, well, let's see if they do support Donald Trump. And it puts a little bit of a squeeze on them. And our base understands the importance of the Supreme Court, and they go out and vote when a Supreme Court position is at stake. Probably politically, it helps us a little bit to push it closer.
Well, but you got to be a little careful because Mueller's witch hunt is still out there. There's no telling what he comes up with. And later to the election, whether it's true or not, the perception is going to be something negative. And I thought get the vote over with and be done with it. That's just me. I'd rather it be sooner than later. I understand what you're saying, but I would rather be sooner or later because I don't trust what's going on in Washington right now.
And we're seeing each other's point. I get where you're coming from, but McConnell would love to pick up 3 to 5 seats currently held by Democrats in states that Trump won big time, and that's going to be West Virginia, Missouri, Montana, Indiana, North Dakota.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court nominee is going to play a big role in those elections.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, that's good. I think they're going to pick up 3 to 5 as well. I think that's going to be a number. And I think the House is going to hold a lot more than people think. All right, Senator Bill Cassidy, my special guest, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you want to ask him a question. Take a break. Be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back, Moon Griffon Show. If you'd like to be part of the program, it is your opportunity to be a voice. Of course, Hickson has a hotline, and we do have Senator Bill Cassidy on the Hickson has a hotline. By the way, I had a person wanted to ask you this question, Bill. They said, if Trump was to fire Sessions, would you vote to remove the president? I don't think you would, and I don't think that's going to happen, but just they told me to ask you this, so I said, hell, I'll ask him.
No, that is not an impeachable crime. And so, of course, you wouldn't. I think the issue is, though, if you fire Sessions, Rosenstein then becomes the Attorney General. And
that ain't good at all.
That ain't good at all. So you got to play it out a couple of moves down. But that's not an impeachable crime. He is the president. He can make a decision like that.
I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's not worried about anything, to be honest with you.
I agree with you. In fact, somebody said that when he fired Comey, he's the first president in the world who fired the guy that was about to clear his name. So I think the president's going to come out of this okay, but it'll be a little bit of a ride for a little bit longer.
You know, people brought this up about you before, and I've asked the question. I know you voted for budget packages, but we're having record collections in taxes now, especially on income taxes. You think there's ever going to be a time where we really decrease spending and cut some spending? Because I'm not saying y'all ain't trying to do some of that, but it's not big because we keep growing the budget and growing the debt.
Well, if you look since the American people elected, first I voted against the last spending bill. It was a 2,000-page monstrosity given to us. We had 24 hours to read it.
Okay.
I'm not about to vote for that. But that said, if you look since the American people, led by the Tea Party, elected a Republican House, and I was in the House at that time, the so-called discretionary spending, the spending that Congress has control over, has remained relatively flat. We had a bump up this past year, but it had fallen significantly, and so now it's kind of on the same plane where it was in 2010. Where the spending's coming is from Medicare, Social Security, Obamacare, Medicaid, interest on the debt. That's stuff that goes out the door without a congressional vote. And that's because 10,000 baby boomers a day become eligible for Medicare and Social Security. I'm working on that, trying to make those programs solvent, stronger, there for the people who have been promised benefits, but also in a way that our debt and deficit is contained as well.
Yeah, let's take one quick call. Dwayne, you got to be quick, though. Dwayne, North Louisiana, question or comment for Senator Bill Cassidy. Go.
How you doing, Senator Cassidy? I'm in North Dakota working because I can't get good work in Louisiana anymore thanks to everything that's happened with the oil field. But here's my point to you. Why is Bob Mueller investigation still going? Why isn't him and Peter Strzok and Orr and all the rest of them up on charges to be investigating? And how is this special counsel allowed to coerce witnesses by choosing them flying to FBI and throwing them in jail, and they let Hillary walk off? Why aren't we putting more pressure on this?
By the way, Bill, Dwayne, just hang up and listen to him. And Bill, he's got a good question. That's the people that like Trump, the people that like our country going in a different direction. We're all frustrated because never on Hillary. Obama's Justice Department misused so much. Mueller was able to do a probe and go any way he wants to. You see why we're frustrated, and that's what the guy's asking.
Totally, but the only guy that can fire Mueller is Donald J. Trump, and so and Trump's just making the political calculus that it would hurt him more to fire him than to keep him in place. There is a lot of concern this investigation has gone way beyond the bounds originally charged, and you can look at the judge in the Paul Manafort case. He's also calling out Mueller.
Sure
but the only person to fire Mueller is Trump.
But if he does that, then everybody, well, of course, the press is going to say if they don't fire him or they do fire him, they're going to say the president colluded. So it didn't matter. But there's no collusion. That's what's so frustrating us. It seems like the bad guys get away with everything, and the good guys don't get away with anything because there's nothing to get away with. They just make up stuff. And, hey, by the way, there was a big bill the president signed dealing with the military, and I'm taking it that's going to help our military people in here in the state of Louisiana, military bases and things of that nature.
Totally. We've never been at greater, no, I can't say that, but we are at greater risk around the world than we have been in some time. And the military under the Obama administration had just suffered. And so now we increase funding. Members of the military, those who've enlisted, volunteered, et cetera, it will get a pay raise. That's important. We need to keep good people. There's a lot of competition for those folks, but just need to support them. But we're also getting support for Barksdale, for Fort Polk, and for Bell State. That's important for us here in Louisiana.
I'm glad that they got some pay raises. I just hope the governor down here doesn't take them. We got our Trump pay raise, and the governor and the legislature said, "Oh, we'll take that." And they did. $356 million worth of tax breaks, just whoop right to the state. That was. Well, I hope it's not going to take the military ones too.
Well, if you're in the military, you can declare your place of residence any state in the union. I suspect they're all saying they're from Las Vegas or from Florida or someplace else without an income tax.
Well, they better if they want to keep any of it, because the trolls down there are trying to get as much as we can, no doubt about it. Well, by the way, I just saw something on Fox, decline in illegals crossing the border, and they relating it directly to Trump's policies. What do you say about that?
Totally. Trump has strengthened enforcing of our southern border. And despite what the left has been trying to do, he has actually been able to do that. That's important, not just for illegal immigration. It's for human trafficking, for drug smuggling. Got a huge opioid issue. A lot of that comes across the southern border. So the president's efforts can pay dividends in multiple areas, and illegal immigration is one of them.
You think they will ever literally build the wall like he wants?
So the president has been very forthright. If we speak about the DACA children, the folks that came across because their parents brought them when they were babies, the president has said, I would wish they go home. But I'm going to let them stay. I'm going to let twice as many stay as Obama was going to. And I'm going to give them a pathway to citizenship. But I want to secure our southern border. You give me that, and I'll give you give me security at the southern border, I'll give you a deal on the DACA kids. The president's been very reasonable. So far, the left is turning it down. The DACA kids actually like it. I'm hoping the president can bring that home.
Bill, last thing, can you give us any insight of what may end up happening with the Mueller case for the president? To me, it doesn't look bad for the president at all. And to me, the Russian collusion with the president, there's still an election, is not even what they're going after now. They're just trying to find anything. So can you tell us deep down in the heart of D.C., in the deep state, what do you think comes out of all this when it's said and done?
I think Manafort gets hit for, I think a lot of people get hit who are doing some stuff which was not good, but I don't think the president gets tagged for collusion. And so Michael Cohen goes down for, Michael Cohen's just a swarmy guy. Paul Manafort goes down for tax evasion. But none of that touches the president. Stormy Daniels and the president, believe me, the Department of Justice has lost cases like that before with Edwards, John Edwards, the guy out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
So I think the collusion goes away.
I think it goes away, too. All right. Senator Bill Cassidy, we'll do it again later. God bless. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
All right. That's it. Hump day already tomorrow, Brandon. You can always smile, buddy. We get through tomorrow. Then we can get towards your favorite day.
Absolutely.
Friday, payday on a Friday.
Oh, yeah. Almost as good as vacation on a Friday.
I agree with that. I don't know what's better. I like Mondays myself. All right, we take a break. Be right back. 22 hours.